Hey YouTube, how are you doing? Here's the build on screen if you're curious. Could you see the common theme? That's right, we're backstab fishing today, just for giggles, just cause it's a skill I need to learn. Is this build optimized? No, this build is generalized for brawling and fighting and all sorts of things. So if you want to do a build focused on executing and fishing for backstabs with the Executioner's Axe and its increased critical rating, and the dagger talisman to, really give it that sting, then do the stats a little different. You probably don't need any of the intelligence, and you could even move the faith around if you didn't want it. 12 faith isn't bad. It gives you access to a lot of good and tasty things, so I understand if you would want to keep it. But yeah, build not optimized. You can optimize it. I can believe it in you. I believe in you. You have like 11 points if you pull it out of intelligence. You can get that vigor up. You could get the strength up a little bit. Do you see all these backstab attempts? There's 5 of those suckers. I'm kind of upset that guy didn't keep going with it, but that was a fun little moment, and that was the start of this backstab journey I went on. In previous Souls titles, I've never been one for backstab fishing. I haven't been good at it, and to be fair, I haven't devoted a whole lot of time to it. So this is me attempting to grow, and part of it is inspired because I'm not very good at parries. Parries take setup, or they take a lot of practice, and sometimes latency can get in the way of that sort of thing. That's just how it works. Look at this poor guard break. That brother gone. I think I've used that joke already. Anyways, parries. More on the point. Back away from the tangent. Gunches, come on, you can do this, buddy. Parries have a very high risk, not super high reward kind of setup. If you flub, you can take huge damage because the lethality is rather high in this game. Now, pivots for backstabs and punishing certain slow attacks with backstabs and things like that. Guard breaks, relatively low risk, good reward. And I figured it was a fundamental I had neglected and therefore should practice. And I thought, I also don't really know how to use quick step that well for backstabbing, so I thought I would do some of that in this video today. And I had fun. It was different, and I feel like I say this in some fashion every video, that blank was a growing experience, and it was, and I think that's a natural consequence of trying new things, and trying new things in such a way not to just figure out if I like it or not, but to make a video out of it as sort of a proof of concept, to show, look, backstabs are fun, they can be pretty good. Here's an intended tangent for you. This character is meant to be an executioner from a Banished Knight faction. Doesn't matter which, not particularly. But that's kind of what I was going for, and maybe it's not very good. Maybe not a very good cosplay, per se, because lots of people dressed as Banished Knights and Banished Knight commanders, but I thought I would try to make the kit a little consistent, have a little flavor. Don't always do that every single character, but I thought I would for this one. Another fun part of the build that was great practice. Did you see that backstab? That was nonsense. He was just spinning too much and it just grabbed his back. It was free. That's why I included it. Couldn't help it. I get many more backstab attempts on the fella, but he's just too quick and too nimble. The latency wasn't it. I should have stopped trying, but I did not. I couldn't help it. I was eager for them. Back to the fun part of the build I was talking about. Great axes. I don't play with great axes. That's just not something that normally happens to me. I might have a great axe to stick an Ash of War on it, have it be an Ash of War stick, but just on its own, don't really use it too much, and I gotta say, I'm starting to really like them. People don't know their timing so well, which is fun. When it's not a very common weapon, people make mistakes in the timing, and I'm able to catch them because they roll early or what have you. They might be anticipating a weapon that's in a similar weight category but a little faster, like a greatsword, which is far more common. And I like it. I like great axes. I should probably do a great hammers video at some point. I don't think they're all that different, but the great axe was also a nice growing opportunity for me. I did the fire infusion intentionally because it scales with strength, and it seems that critical hits hit a little harder if you just have good AR, not necessarily if you have you know, one pure damage type. It does something funky with the absorptions. I couldn't tell you exactly what it does. There's people out there who probably can tell you exactly what it does. I am not one of those individuals. I just know that even if a weapon has split damage, critical hits still hit pretty hard, so I did fire for that. And you're probably wondering, hey, this build of yours, it's all rounded, right? You have 20 intelligence. Why didn't you make it a Frost Infusion? Well, the Frost Infusion had like 771 AR, right? A Raw Heavy Infusion had 775 AR, so more and a single damage type. And then the Fire Infusion had 825, so almost 50 bonus points base, or when you're just two-handing the thing. And so I figured for critical hits it was probably a good idea. Now, is that the case in all situations? Not particularly, because water exists. And because water exists, fire not so good. Look at this little soft swap here. And I turn these filthy gankers into mincemeat. Well, one of them at least. Now I can have a nice, honest fight with this guy who is needlessly aggressive and a ganker in a world where he no longer has a friend. In fact, I'm the one who's here to give him pain, and the second thunderstorm was a poor idea. I should have just capitalized on him being stuck in the corner, but I don't know, I had a little more breathing room. I could think a little more, but my brain's still the size of a walnut, so you can't expect the world of me. Still, fighting this fella and turning a chase down aggressive 2v1 into a 1v1 was very nice. That red that I lost, rest in peace, he died too quickly, but he provided the opening I needed to really take down that other fellow with an axe, so axes, that's kind of in theme. I suppose the video is a little more about backstabs, and I don't get one during this clip, but I was kind of proud of turning the 2v1 around, so I decided to include it to, you know, just show off the build in a general sense, not necessarily a backstabby sense. Look at that weird latency, though. I think this guy had like 180 ping or something when I was fighting him, so he's a little weird to fight. Latency does that. It's normal. You get used to it. Look at that. That was weird, but he died and I win, so I'm keeping it. That's a win in my book. We take the wins, and we tell them to calm down. It's probably my favorite emote, telling people to calm down. Especially when they're just outright aggressive, no courtesies. I know some people aren't here to bow and they get really upset at the concept that there's emotes in the game. But I'm a generally good-natured person. Oh, look at this poor backstab. Ooh, I like that damage. And so, I would like to hear from you, dear viewer. Do you know of any great ways to buff up that critical hit damage? The only ways I can really think of off the top of my head are a fire-infused executioner axe with good strength and the crit talisman. And then, if you're running a dex build, probably a lightning misericord. Those seem like the two best avenues for critical damage. In fact, the misericord might be sight above the axe, but I wanted a general use weapon. Anyway, I'm here during the Radigan fight. Do you see this nonsense on screen? I haven't been acknowledging it while I've just been yammering on, but I had two of these. Here's the second clip right in front of you. Invaded the Radigan fight twice. If I had a nickel for every time I invaded during the Radigan fight, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, or however the phrase is supposed to go. And here I am, tag teaming with a Radigan who I can't see, and so for all intents and purposes, I'm going to have the headcanon that Radigan is nothing more than the psychosis of these co-opers, and that every time they take damage, it is self-inflicted, and I'm here just to put them down and out of their misery. Look at that whiff. Feels bad. I wanted the crit, but just pulling the group apart just to focus on me. Radigan's able to clean him up. I didn't do a whole lot. Look at that. My goodness. He did not last long. Can't help it, though. Radigan's not real, just like magic. Magic isn't real. You know what's real? Strength builds. Strength builds are real. You can depend on strength builds. Sorcery? Not real. You idiot. Why would you have a magic build? I'm that idiot. I would have a magic build. I like magic builds. Not spell spamming, though. Just magic flavored. But, yeah, I just had so much fun trying to get silly backstabs. It was a good growing experience. You may have noticed in my last video, if you're paying attention, that I got several backstabs off doing silly little pivots and angling behind people during key moments. And I feel like I've been getting a little better, getting them a little more consistently. And maybe I got them more because I was focusing on them deliberately. But I would love to get to the point where I'm comfortable enough, where I'm not too stressed out, and I can go for them tasty backstabs. Now the host, he shouldn't have let me just kill his buddy. I don't know if he thought we were dueling or what, but there's heals going on, or I don't know if he was scared or what have you. But he didn't seem like the most confident host, and I felt a little bad. So I figured he's got those big, chunky weapons. You know what would be good? Practicing some backstab fishing. That's what big, chunky weapons are for, right? I have my small walnut-sized brain, but this fella, not to be disparaging, but his brain may not be as large as a walnut. Alright, that's rude. Perhaps he just doesn't waste as much time on this game as I do, but I waste the time and I have a blast. And that's why I'm doing it. I'm doing this for fun. You can't defeat me. My requirements for success are so incredibly low. The bar has never been lower. I'm just here to have a good time. Succeed or fail in the invasion. I'll cope. I'll seethe. If I lose, I'll just tell myself I created a great meta-narrative for the host and his friends to enjoy. I'll explain it away in any way I deem reasonable. Heck, I'll explain it away in several ways everyone will find very unreasonable. You can't defeat me. Alright, that's enough of that. This is a fun little duel I had here. This was a rematch where I unfortunately cleaned up the fight very quickly with my axe, but didn't get a backstab, so I didn't include it. But this fight, this guy had learned a little bit about how I like to play, and he was smarter, and as a result, it was harder to hit him. And it's fun seeing those little growing moments. I think it's what inspires people to play the game. Long past what you would expect the game's normal life expectancy to be. Every fight against people, there's an intelligence behind it, right? And the intelligence could be high, it could be low, but generally, people who want to be good at the game, they will learn. They will adapt. Now, they might lose a fight first before they adapt, you know? The learning curve could be various angles. But this fellow learned, and he learned pretty well. It's hard for me to get a hit on him. It's not, it takes a good bit. This clip's longer than I thought it was, actually. He held out for quite some time. Look at that, he gets me with the fully charged, and I shake my axe at him as a little, like, good job, you're getting me. You're showing me what for. I thought he was gonna win, honestly, the whole time during this fight, but I was gonna make him work for it, you know? Earn his redemption arc. And, oh boy, does it get down to that wire, but then there's the quick step into the backstab, and he's gone, because the crit damage is pretty good. It's not the highest it could be. There's other ways to get that big crit damage. And I'm still waiting for you to comment on any ideas you have to get really good crit damage, because there's got to be other avenues besides the misericord. I was hoping the Executioner's Axe relatively high AR would make up for its lower critical rating, even though it still has a critical rating of 115. It's not a base 100 like other weapons tend to have on average. I'm trying to think of other weapons that have a critical rating, and there's a handful of straight swords that have 110. Maybe there's some claw weapons as well. I don't know. I don't use claw weapons. I like the punch weapons. Claw weapons feel dirty to me. Like you've got something to hide. You need that 4-hit combo to hide behind. I'm only joking. If you didn't know, though, the most of the claw weapons in patch 110 have a 4-hit combo. Running heavy into heavy is 2-hit, 2-hit, and I think even standing neutral heavy into another heavy. You don't have to charge the thing either. It is also a free 4 hits, so if you're running a bleed build, or you have Blood Flame Blade on your Keen Talons or whatever you got, yeah, that could be devastating. Real scary. Big, tasty damage. I do like this wizard that this host has with him, though. Utilizing that blizzard spell around corners to try to get me. Gotta appreciate the clever ones. They're always fun to fight. Makes the fight, well, interesting for lack of a better term. I don't know why his spell didn't hit me right then and there. I think it should have, honestly. It just didn't. And I've noticed that from time to time. Maybe you've noticed it too if you dabble in the invasions. But there's sometimes a spell will essentially, like, dissipate right in your face, and it looks like it hits, or it should have hit, and it just doesn't. And if you've noticed that, say something. I don't know what it is. I don't know what does it. We figured out a lot of perfect blocking, and we classified it as a perfect poise event for some time before we figured out kind of how to replicate it. Spells just dissipating when they should hit you, especially when they should hit you right in the face. It's beyond me. I still don't get it to this day. Maybe it's not for me to understand. But I digress. Yeah, Armored Core came out like 2 hours ago. At the time of filming this, or not filming this, but recording the audio for it. So, probably gonna tuck into a little bit of that. Will I make content on it? I don't know. I'm not really, I haven't played an Armored Core game before. I consider it a FromSoft game that's outside the Souls pantheon. But, I digress. Maybe, maybe not. But look at that. Roll Backstab. Feels good. Thank you for joining me. Have a good day, and bye-bye now.